Artaxerxes II, also known as Artaxerxes Neman, was the longest reigning monarch of the Achaemenid Empire, ruling from 404 BC to 358 BC. His reign was marked by both internal and external challenges, including a series of rebellions and invasions, but he managed to maintain the stability and territorial integrity of the empire. Artaxerxes is often overshadowed by the more famous rulers of the Achaemenid dynasty, such as Darius and Cyrus, but his reign was a significant period in the history of the empire. In this episode, we will examine the life, reign, and legacy of Artaxerxes II and explore why he deserves a more prominent place in Persian history. Welcome to the Royalty Stories channel. Artaxerxes II was not the only potential candidate for the throne after the death of Darius II. His older half-brother, Artaxerxes, was the first in line for the throne, but he suffered from a physical disability. This led to a succession dispute between Artaxerxes II and his other half-brother, Cyrus the Younger, who was ambitious and eager to take the throne for himself. Cyrus the Younger challenged Artaxerxes II's claim to the throne and launched a rebellion against him in 401 BC. He gathered an army of Greek mercenaries and marched towards Babylon with the aim of taking over the empire. Artaxerxes II responded by assembling a large army and marched against his brother. The confrontation between Artaxerxes II and Cyrus the Younger culminated in the Battle of Chanaxa. The two armies met near the town of Chanaxa in Babylonia in the fall of 401 BC. Cyrus the Younger had approximately 13,000 Greek mercenary soldiers and around 100,000 Persian soldiers, while Artaxerxes II had a force of around 40,000 to 50,000 soldiers. During the battle, Cyrus the Younger tried to personally attack Artaxerxes II but was killed by a javelin. Despite this setback, the Greek mercenaries continued to fight, and the battle was ultimately inconclusive. The Battle of Chanaxa was a victory for Artaxerxes II, but it was a costly one. He lost many soldiers in the battle, and the Greek mercenaries retreated and began their infamous March of the 10,000, which is documented by the Greek historian Xenophon in his work Anabasis. He subsequently took steps to consolidate his power and solidify his position as the king of the Achaemenid Empire. Artaxerxes II had complex and varied relationships with the Greeks during his reign as king of the Achaemenid Empire. His support for Sparta during the Peloponnesian War between Athens and Sparta, by providing support to Sparta in the form of money and supplies. This support allowed Sparta to continue the war against Athens, which eventually led to Athens' defeat. Artaxerxes II's victory over his younger brother, Cyrus the Younger, in the Battle of Chanaxa was largely due to the support of Greek mercenaries. After the battle, Artaxerxes II ordered the massacre of many of these Greek soldiers, which soured the relationship between the Persians and Greeks. After the defeat of Sparta, he made an alliance with Athens in 387 BC. This alliance helped to establish peace in the region and allowed him to maintain stability within his empire. The support for Athens during the Corinthian War proved to be ineffective, and he was unable to prevent the eventual defeat of Athens. The war had significant consequences for the Greeks, leading to the rise of Macedon and the eventual conquest of the Achaemenid Empire by Alexander the Great. Although there were conflicts between the Greeks and Persians during Artaxerxes II's reign, there were also cultural exchanges between the two civilizations. Persian art and culture influenced the Greek world, and Greek philosophy and ideas were introduced to the Persians. Artaxerxes II's relations with the Greeks were complex and fluctuated throughout his reign. While he supported Sparta in the Peloponnesian War and initially opposed Athens, he later formed an alliance with Athens and engaged in cultural exchanges with the Greeks. However, his support for Athens during the Corinthian War was not effective, and his inability to prevent the rise of Macedon contributed to the eventual decline and fall of the Achaemenid Empire. Artaxerxes II engaged in several battles during his reign. In addition to Battle of Canaxa against Cyrus the Younger in 401 BC, Artaxerxes II faced a rebellion of the Ionian Greeks in Asia Minor in 396 BC. The Greeks were supported by the city-state of Athens, which sent a military force to aid the rebellion. He was able to successfully suppress the revolt and regain control over the region. The Corinthian War was a conflict between several Greek city-states that lasted from 395 BC to 387 BC. Artaxerxes II initially supported Sparta, which was fighting against Athens, but later switched sides and supported Athens. However, his support was not enough to prevent his eventual defeat. In 366 BC, a satrap named Artaxerxes rebelled against Artaxerxes II's rule. The rebellion was put down by Artaxerxes II, who had Artaxerxes captured and pardoned him. Although Artaxerxes II did not personally engage in the conquest of Egypt, he gave the order for the Persian army to invade Egypt in 343 to 342 BC. The campaign was successful, and Egypt came under Persian rule for several years. The 36 satrapies was a new administrative system created by Artaxerxes II. Before the 36 satrapies, the Achaemenid Empire was divided into 20 provinces, each administered by a governor known as a satrap. However, these provinces were often too large to be effectively governed by a single individual, resulting in ineffective administration and corruption. He reorganized the empire into 36 smaller provinces, each with a governor or satrap responsible for their administration. The new provinces were generally smaller in size and were designed to be more manageable for the governors, making it easier for them to govern and collect taxes. The 36 satrapies improved the efficiency and effectiveness of the administrative system of the empire. The reduced size of the provinces allowed the governors to have better control over the territory, reducing corruption and improving the collection of taxes. The new system also helped to minimize the chances of rebellion by reducing the power and influence of individual governors. The new administrative system helped to stabilize the empire and allowed Artaxerxes II to consolidate his power. The system remained in place for several centuries and was inherited by the successive empires that followed, such as the Seleucid Empire and the Parthian Empire. The 36 satrapies represents a significant contribution to the administrative history of the Achaemenid Empire. The new system laid the ground for the efficient management of the empire, and became a model for future empires in the region. Artaxerxes II was known for his building projects in the Achaemenid Empire. He constructed the Palace of Darius in Susa, which was the capital city of the Persian province of Elam. The palace was likely built to commemorate his grandfather, Darius I, and was considered a masterpiece of Persian architecture. The palace was adorned with elaborate stone carvings and decorative reliefs that depicted various scenes from Persian mythology and history. Artaxerxes II also undertook a major restoration project in the city of Babylon, which was one of the most important cities in the Achaemenid Empire. The city had suffered damage from previous invasions and needed significant renovation. Artaxerxes II commissioned several restoration projects, including the rebuilding of the city's fortifications, the construction of a new palace, and the renovation of several of the city's temples. He is also believed to have commissioned several other construction projects, including the building of a royal castle in the province of Caria and the restoration of several other temples and palaces throughout the empire. However, many of these structures have not survived to the present day. Artaxerxes II's building projects were significant for several reasons. First and foremost, they were a demonstration of the king's wealth and power, as the construction of these structures required large amounts of resources and labor. Furthermore, these buildings were often decorated with intricate artworks that exemplified the sophisticated Persian aesthetic. These structures helped to advance Persian art and architecture and influence later artistic movements in the region. Artaxerxes II's building projects were a significant part of his legacy, showcasing the artistic and engineering achievements of the Achaemenid Empire. His palace in Susa and the restoration of the walls of Babylon are examples of Persian architecture and art, and they continue to be studied by historians and art experts today. Artaxerxes II died in 358 BC. There are different accounts of how he died. According to the Greek historian Diodorus Siculus, he was poisoned by his treacherous vizier Bagoas, who had him killed so he could install his own puppet on the throne. This version of events is also supported by the historian Justin. On the other hand, the Greek historian Plutarch offers a different account. He claims that Artaxerxes II died of natural causes at the age of 90 after a long and prosperous reign. It is difficult to determine which account is accurate, as the historical record on this matter is scarce and mostly based on Greek sources, who were often hostile towards the Persian Empire. Nevertheless, it is clear that Artaxerxes II left a significant mark on Persian history, having overseen a period of stability and prosperity during his long reign. Thank you for watching. If you liked this episode, please support us by subscribing and activating the ring button.